I am Komla and I'm grateful you could join us. Now, small-scale miners across the country who had to endure over 6 long months of a ban on their work can heave a sigh of relief. This follows a hint by Chairman of Parliament's Communications Committee that the ban will be lifted sometime next week. The Kufuor administration in February 2017 imposed a 6-month-long ban on all forms of small-scale mining activities in a bid to clamp down on the destructive activities of illegal miners. The ban, which was initially expected to be lifted by the end of October last year, was extended by another 3 months. You will recall the Small-Scale Miners Association of Ghana has on many occasions impressed on government to lift the ban following complaints by its members their livelihood source has been cut out. A license vetting process of all small-scale miners by the Interministerial Task Force on Mining started last week, and it was to inform government's decision to lift the ban as part of a deliberate roadmap. Speaking to Joy News a while ago, Chairman of the Communications Committee of Parliament, Kennedy Japan, said the ban will be lifted sometime next week.
The government has taken the decision to lift the ban because earlier on, when we started this ban, we told Ghanaians that it's not going to be permanent, but we want to regulate it. And there have been a series of meetings that have gone on, interventions, and now we realize we are ready to, lift the ban. And now anybody who wants to do the small-scale mining has to register and get a license. About 25 acres, 500 Ghana cedis. I don't think that is very, very expensive. Even the EPA license is about $2,500. Anybody who wants to do small-scale mining should be able to pay that. Some were of the opinion that even the 500 Ghana cedis for 25 acres is too small. But we don't want a situation where when you lift the ban, you use financial to discourage a lot of people. That is why we're being flexible. So I don't want to give you the precise, I know the specific date, but I don't want to take the wind out of it. I want the president or Dr. Propriety to come out and tell Ghanaians about this galamsey. Okay. To be frank with you, the ban on galamsey, I still maintain it if and only if those who were supposed to monitor the activities of this galamsey, they would have been sincere and honest to government or Ghana. But I will not mince words. The soldiers who went the Operation Vanguard, they were so corrupt. So corrupt. So I don't know whom to trust again.
So are you confident that we have put the right structures in place not to see the problems for which we put the ban in the first place?
To be honest with you, I don't trust any Ghanaian.
Not even the president?
I don't trust anybody because the president will come out with all this. The people that are going to monitor, they will abuse their powers. They will connive with the galamsey people and still do the wrong things.
So you heard the Chairman of Parliament's Communications Committee, Kennedy Japan, speaking to us there. Let's now speak to the Small-Scale Miners Association, President of that association, Michael Kojo-Pepra, joins us on the telephone. Hello, Mr. Pepra. You heard Mr. Japan there. The ban is expected to be lifted sometime next week. You have been calling for this for some time. Satisfied?
First of all, let me extend my cherished greetings to your listeners. I think we wouldn't say it's a very good news to us because, as a matter of fact, the ban is long overdue, and it's mere speculations to us because Kennedy Japan only stated that from this week to next week the ban will be lifted. So until the time that the ban will be lifted, I don't think it's a happy news to us.
But why should this not be happy news? Because for a long time now, you have been complaining that your members, for example, their livelihoods have been cut out and it has allowed illegal mining to fester. And now we are learning that that ban is going to be lifted next week.
As a matter of fact, we need to be candid to each other. The ban was placed on small-scale mining just to make sure that we would try and eliminate illegal galamsey operations. But after the ban was placed, it's a question that I want to ask: that was that achievements being meant? Or are we saying that we only place that ban on small-scale mining just to try and see that we can manage the problem? And you know what we've gone through, what small-scale miners have gone through, it cannot be quantified. We've gone through a whole lot within this 2 years that the ban was placed on small-scale miners. A lot of our members, at least within these 2 years, we have more than 10 of our members who have lost their lives. A lot of broken homes happened under the 2 years when the ban was placed on small-scale mining. So even if the ban is lifted, are we going to say that those things that happens to our members can be reversed? No. But what we are saying is the problem that we kept on telling Ghanaians wasn't coming from the small-scale miners. You know, we also made Ghanaians be aware that the problem can't be solved with bringing military on the field. And as a result of that, even Kennedy Japan said it. He made it clear that now he can't even trust the military. So now what is government putting in place that those issues that happened prior to the ban wouldn't happen again? And government has not made any provisions to at least make things better for us, because a lot of our members can't even go back to work because we've lost a lot of capital. Some of my members are even at the court now because they contacted loans from the banks and they defaulted. And as a result, it has turned into a legal battle. So how are we going to do to make sure that before they streamline or before the ban is lifted, these people who, with no fault, will be also make sure that they can also go back and work and feed their family? These are the questions we are asking because we have gone through a lot. It's something that we will never forget.
All right,
because government says it's going to fight illegal mining. So why do you place a ban on legal small-scale mining? These are the questions, till now we've not had answers to.
Mr. Pepa, have you officially, as an association, been communicated to about this imminent lifting of a ban?
Come again.
Have you officially been communicated to as an association about the imminent lifting of a ban?
We went for the vetting. I did mine last week Tuesday. And after the vetting, we were given a sticker that we should make sure we paste those stickers in our various concessions so that when in future they come to monitor, they will know that this site or this company has been vetted and that person can engage in small-scale mining. That's the only thing they told us. But as to when, as to today, as to next week, that the ban will be lifted has not been communicated to us. And we only pray that whatever Mr. Kennedy Japan just said will come into a reality. Because it's not the first time. Prior to that, who said it? Oh, the ban is going to only last for 6 months. And he even came out with a date. Barbara said it. Benito Usubio said it. So we are only praying that, nothing will change and the ban will be lifted. But we are only praying to the government authority. There are things they did right, like training small-scale miners at the Takwa School of Mines was something that was better. Maybe vetting the small-scale miners. When we came out to tell them that, no, we don't use PIN number to mine, at least they listened to us and they did something about it. But what are we going to do for those people who now don't have capital to go back? Or are we going to lift the ban that we are only going to lift the ban, and after the ban is lifted, they don't do anything to make sure that at least small-scale miners who are Ghanaians, who are entrepreneurs and have employed Ghanaians would at least have something as a cushion to go back and work.
Mr. Pepa, before I let you go, you talk about the vetting of the licenses. You say you've been there, you've got a sticker. What about the other members who were turned away because they didn't have tins?
That is a problem. That's another problem because what the Mining Act says, it states that when you have your license, you can mine. We don't see anything in the Constitution that permits or that only allows somebody with a thing to go back and work. So it became a confrontation between the association and the ministerial committees who are in charge in the vetting. But as a matter of fact, I think when we raised that issue, they have come out with another plan. I think GRA has an office there, and anybody who doesn't have the license is being registered and given a TIN number for him to go through the process. But I think that is the only thing the vetting committee has done, and we only applaud them on it. Because when we raise that concern, a lot of our members don't have the thing. And for you turning them away because of TIN number wasn't appropriate, at least they call on GRA, and now they have an office at the Interministerial Committee Against Illegal Mining. And whenever a member comes and he doesn't have the TIN, they make sure they provide him a TIN number and it goes through the vetting.
All right, we are grateful, Mr. Michael Kojo-Pepra. He is the president of the Small Scale Miners Association. They're joining us on the telephone, reacting to the announcement that by next week sometime, the ban on small scale mining will be lifted. Let's now cross over to the Lands and Natural Resources Ministry, where my colleague Nancy Emefa-Dradose has been sitting through a press conference by the minister. Hello, Nancy. What has the minister been saying?
Right, he started by touting the government's, achievements in the fight against illegal mining. Now, he mentioned that one of the main reasons why they decided to roll out the Operation Vanguard was to ensure that our water bodies were safe and pure, because of the reports that they were going, the colors of the water have changed and all of that. And so he was emphatic that the Operation Vanguard has made strides. As right now, they're recording, or they're able to tell that the water bodies are being cleaned. So he touted that the success of the Vanguard, also saying that about 1,000 people, over 1,300 people have also been arrested in connection with the illegal mining. But unfortunately, we haven't heard so far, he hasn't mentioned anything about the lifting of the ban on illegal mining. I think that is one of the main reasons why a lot of people were waiting to hear. But he just ended his speech, and journalists are now asking questions. He hasn't mentioned anything concerning the lifting of the ban on illegal mining, on small-scale mining.
Right. MFR, there's been concern that some of the members of the Operation Vanguard team that were deployed into these areas were actually taking monies from some of the illegal miners for their activities to continue. Did he respond to these concerns at the press conference? Right.
So he started actually with his speech. He just ended. In all of his speech, he never touched on this concern. But just before I stepped out, the question was put to him, and he's yet to give an answer to that. And so when we get the answer, we'll bring the listeners and viewers up to speed with all of that.
Many thanks to you, my colleague Nancy Emefa-Dradose. She is currently at the Lands and Natural Resources Ministry, where a press conference is underway, being addressed by the minister himself. We'll bring you more as and when that press conference ends. But away from that, President Akufo-Addo says his government is on course to deliver the economic change he promised ahead of 2016 general elections, commissioning a $50 million food and beverages company under the One District, One Factory initiative in the Greater Accra region. President Akufo-Addo said government has so far made available 270 million cedi stimulus package for 16 companies to expand, increase production, and create jobs.
Last year, my first year in office, I told the people of Ghana that every year I would leave the comfort of my office in Jubilee House and tour the country and see for myself what is going on in Ghana. I believe that if you are running an organization and the office becomes too sweet, things will happen under you and you will not see what is going on. So every year I've decided I will go out and visit every region at least once. I did so last year, and this year I've done all 9 regions. From the Upper East, Upper West, Northern region, Bronga Hafu, Ashanti, Western, Central, Volta, Eastern region, my first home region, and now I'm ending in my second home region, Greater Accra. And this is the first day of our tour. It's also taking place at the halfway point of my presidency. So it gives us also an opportunity to look with each other at what has happened so far. I want to say a few words about that before coming to today's program. We inherited an economy in bad shape. The economy left to us by the previous government was an economy where all the statistics were going the wrong way.
And the president is on a 3-day tour of the Greater Accra region. Presidential correspondent Elton Brobe is with the president and joins me on the telephone. Hello, Elton. Tell us more about this company the president talks about and what kind of government support is it receiving?
Well, so what the stimulus package entails is the availability of funds by government to companies that show potential to grow. So in this case, according to President Akufo, they have identified 85 companies in Ghana so far. These are local industries that government wants to support them to grow, expand, export even beyond the borders of Ghana. And out of the 85, 16 of the companies have benefited. So far, government has spent 237 million Ghana cedis on some of these companies. One of them is healthy light beverages. That was actually the first port of call where President Akufo commissioned their new factory. They are into the production of fruit juice from orange, pineapple, soybeans, and the like. And so far, because of the stimulus package that they got, according to the general manager, they've been able to expand. They've employed over 1,000 people. They are currently putting together their second factory, and when that is done, they'll be able to employ 5,000 more, and then engage 5,000 outdoor farmers of orange, pineapple, and the like.
Elton, the president also touched on the free SHS. What did he say exactly? But before that, if you could reposition yourself for us.
I'm sorry if you can come back. The line appears to be breaking.
Okay, I was asking, the president also touched on the free SHS. So what did he say exactly about it?
Well, I think he's actually been talking about it, and his comments was in reference for the review of the program. According to his understanding of a review, is to collapse the program totally, but he will not allow that to happen. So what government, according to President Akufo, will do in the coming days, put before Parliament a bill or an airline to give legal backing to the free SHS program, so that any future review or any future plans for policies will not be successful.
All right, many thanks to you, Presidential Affairs Correspondent Elton Brobe. He is with the President on that Greater Accra region tour. We will bring you more on that tour as and when we have the information. But away from that, the unavailability of the data to inform sound decisions is one of the key challenges facing the fisheries sector. This is according to the Director of the Center for Coastal Management at the University of Cape Coast. He noted lack of data to back claims that fisheries stock are dwindling could have led to a failure in implementing the closed season this year. Speaking to Joy News on the sidelines of a capacity building program on fisheries management, Director of the Center, Professor Dennis Aheto, said lack of adequate human resource as well as illegal and unreported activities are causing the collapse of the fisheries sector. Martha Krenzel-Akwa has more in this report.
Fisheries management in Ghana is said to be faced with numerous challenges that impact on proper planning for the sector. Scientists indicate that fishery stock are depleting, with concerns some species are already extinct. To help revive the sector and get structures working, the Center for Coastal Management at the University of Cape Coast is collaborating with the USAID to train data collectors, fisheries officers, and journalists on Ghana's fisheries management. Speaking in an interview with Joy News, Director of the Center for Coastal Management at UCC, Professor Aheto, notes that the fisheries sector needs sound policies based on credible data to transform the sector.
If you talk about fisheries management systems, information, data is key. How can you make decisions without adequate and scientific information? You can't. So we live in a country where we sit down and we come up with policies and programs without any supporting data. How can you develop a country with such? So within the fisheries sector, this is, in response to your question, one of the major challenges, aside the lack of human resource capacity adequate, is data, and data is scattered all over the place. And I think we need to come out of our shells to be able to harmonize the information that so that they are readily available for use. The other issues has to do with the illegalities in the sector. We need a very strong political commitment, to be able to address some of the issues. Last year, there was a closed season. We all liked it. That never was. And as to why it never was also because of the fact that we did not have the data to support the arguments.
Some of the beneficiaries of the training program confirmed the need for credible data for the sector.
The key issues in our sector basically deals with the data that we have. If the sector is able to standardize our data that we collect from all the coastal landing sites, I believe we will be ready to come out with informed decisions. We come out with good management practices, and if we should have a collaborative interferences or in collaborative meetings with the fisher folks, the stakeholders, and then those policy makers and implementers, I believe we'll be able to come out with good management practices that will be acceptable by all.
We need our research institutions. That is, we have a public research institution, Water Research Institute. And then we have the public universities, University of Cape Coast, University of Ghana, University of Science and Technology, and then the UDS. They need to take it up to find or look for new species and develop them. We have a lot of species that we can develop. And I think Water Research Institute have captured other species apart from catfish, tilapia, and etrotis. There are 3 species that we are capturing now.
The challenges are common to all across the coastal line. Illegal fishing. In my area, we don't do light fishing. In Gansau, they don't do light fishing. But the only problem is the monofilament net, the rubber net, which they use for tonga. That is the peculiar problem over there. So far, talking about dynamite fishing, light fishing, cupboard fishing, I've never seen some before in my area.
Professor Dennis Aheto is calling on government to invest significantly in the sector to boost gains and save the about 10% of the country's population dependent on fisheries.
You're still watching Joy News today on the Joy News channel, available on DSTV channel 421, also on GoTV channel 144. Later in business, ahead of this year's Farmers' Day celebration, we examine financing of small-scale farming businesses as well as strengthen the agricultural value chain. We'll return shortly after the break. You're welcome back to Joy News today. Now, government is defending its plan to use drones to distribute blood and other medical-related supplies after the minority raised red flags about the deal. Deputy Information Minister Pius Hajide, Director General of the Ghana Health Service, Dr. Anthony Nsiasare, and officials of Fly Zipline Ghana addressed a news conference a while ago on matters arising. Addressing the media, Director General of the Ghana Health Service, Dr. Nsiasare, justified why the project was so sourced. Parliamentary correspondent Joseph Opoku-Gakpo joins me with details from this particular news conference. Hello, Joseph. What more can you report?
So, the Director General of the Ghana Health Service, Dr. Anthony Nsiasare, says the Ghana Health Service is happy about this particular project. They have seen that in places like Rwanda, it's been very helpful in ensuring proper healthcare delivery and the distribution of blood and other medical-related stuff like snake venom to help save lives in the most rural areas, which is why they are pushing for its introduction in Ghana, and that it will give the nation the most advanced form of healthcare services. Those are some of the details that he's been given. He's been citing examples of situations where the inability to get access to good roads in places like Krashi and other parts of the country has made it impossible to distribute blood, hence the decision to introduce this particular project. He's also been responding to a number of the concerns that the minority has raised. For example, he's been indicating that they went into a sole sourcing agreement with Fly Zipline because they are the only company in the world that's providing this kind of service. You know, the minority are complaining that it's an inflated project and that it was sole sourced and that there is no value for money. He says the laws allow for sole sourcing under such circumstances, hence the decision to actually go ahead with that. The other concern the minority raised was that there's not been the provision of the green light certificate from the Civil Aviation Authority for the flying of these drones, and that this is something that they are still working on that those yet, particularly on issues having to do with cost. He's been indicating that the demand by the minority for the disclosure on the cost of the drone is uncalled for because the service not being paid for in terms of the cost of the drone, but then service delivery. But then, as far as they are concerned, they are ensuring the necessary value for money, and Ghana is not being treated in any way as far as this deal is concerned.
Many thanks to you, my colleague Joseph Opoku-Gakpo. He sat through that press conference a short while ago. Now, the Ghana Police Service is embarking on a swoop on all private security agencies who have failed to comply with the legally approved uniforms to be worn by such organizations. The nationwide exercise that began on Monday, December 3, is expected to end on December 7 in pursuant of a police service private security organizations regulations 1992 LI 1571, which the police service says must be enforced. According to the police service, the grace period given to the private security organizations to adopt one of 3 designated uniforms elapsed on October 25. So far, the police service has arrested 8 companies, including Omega Security, Stallion Security, Escort Security, Westex Security, Go Security, GS Security, Epsilon Security, First Watch Security, TSSL Security for flouting the law. Speaking to the media, staff officer at the Private Security Director, DSP Kweku Dompre, said dire consequences await security agencies found culpable.
We happen to arrest 8 companies. These 8 companies will be investigated and put before court. The same thing is going to happen in all over the regions. Go out again and we arrest any other company. That company will be put before court. The essence is that everybody must change. The next level is that those clients who engage the services of these companies, you also commit offense when your guards are in your company, are in your compound, not wearing the approved uniform. So we are telling them that if you have a contract with any private security, go back, tell them that any guard that comes into your yard must be in approved uniform. Otherwise, if the guards are arrested, you, the company, will also be arrested. They could be fined not less than 1 million Ghana cedis. They could go to prison not less than 1 year, or both. The next level is also that the license, your operating license, can also be withdrawn.
You're still watching Joy News Today. Still to come in business ahead of this year's Farmers' Day celebration, we examine financing trends of the agri sector, especially those relating to the value chain. And Sandra Isnamapenu joins me after the break with details of that. And here at Joy News, we're embarking on a campaign to get authorities to take action before disaster strikes at Weija Range. And there is fire on the mountain. Here are more telling pictures taken by GJA Journalist of the Year, David Andor, on the situation at the Weija Range.
There is fire on the mountain, and nobody seems to be on the run. Oh, there is fire on the mountain top, and no one is running. I wake up in the morning, tell you what I see on my TV screen. I see the blood of an innocent child, and everybody's watching. Now I'm looking out my window, and what do I see? I see an army of a soldier man marching across the street. Hey. What did it say to make you so blind to your conscience and reason? Could it be love for your country, or for the gun you use in killing? So there is fire.
Those were compelling photographs brought to us by Ghana Journalists Association Photojournalist of the Year, David Ando. And we are going to continue this campaign to ensure authorities act before disaster strikes. For more news, though, you can log on to myjoyonline.com. Thank you very much for joining us on today's edition of Joy News. Today, coming up shortly is the Marketplace with Emmanuel Abuajirafi. I am Komla Adam. Grateful you could join us.